And then here recently, May 1st through the 7th, you can see my mileage went from 60 miles on April 24th week down to 17.6 miles on the May 1st week. And again, our whole family got extremely sick, so we've had some bad luck this year with illnesses, but hopefully that's the last of it for the year. Knock on wood. Hopefully we don't have any more illnesses, but last week I hit 41 miles, and then this week I should hit, I don't know what my mileage is going to be for this week. It's not going to be quite 40 miles, but anyways.
Disturbance is defined as a departure from a norm or standard, a deviation, disruption, or impairment in form, function, or activity. I couldn't think of a better word to describe these past few months. I've tailored my life to do everything possible to care for and improve my overall health. And the irony of this whole situation is, the one thing I've strived to take care of the most is the whole reason that I can't run. Running has been such a pillar in my life for these past few years, and that's why these past few months have been so hard for me. I started my running journey to get healthy a few years back so that I could be the best version of myself for my wife and for my kids, and during that process, it blossomed into what it is for me today. Running completely changed my life in the best way possible, and is honestly a passion that I never expected to have. Now, running has been taken away from me, at least for the time being, and there's nothing that I can do about it. So, if you haven't gathered by this point, I haven't been running, and it's been about 12 weeks since I stopped. So why can't I run? I am currently undergoing testing at St. Luke's in Houston to determine whether or not I have myocarditis and pericarditis. I was diagnosed with myocarditis by my doctor back in May, so about 3 months have passed since then. My doctor believes that this happened as a result of the strep infection that I had back at the end of April. So after the strep infection, a couple weeks went by and I started to feel normal again. I started to feel strong during my runs, and I started to feel like I was getting my strength back. But then the week leading up to the 5K that I ran on May 21st, I started to feel very off. Like I started feeling like I was getting sick again. My body felt weak, I was super shaky, my heart rate variability went out of range, and my resting heart rate started to increase. Everything pointing towards me starting to get sick again. But all that to say, I just felt very off. The morning of the race on May 21st, I still felt super weak and shaky, but I decided to run the race anyway, and I just thought that I was starting to get sick again, like I was starting to come down with a cold or something after having that strep infection. like maybe my body was retaliating against me for starting to run again. During the race, within 30 seconds, my heart rate went up to 198 beats per minute and stayed elevated for the entirety of the race and maxed out at 203. Typically in a 5K, you don't expect a red line till you're toward the end of the race. However, I was running close to red line for the entire race, which is just not typical. So I knew something was going on, something was wrong. I also wasn't able to push in a race like I normally can. And after the race, I just assumed that I was having an off day, and that maybe, I just needed to come back and try again. And maybe that race just wasn't my race. But later that day, I could definitely tell that something wasn't right. The first couple of weeks after that 5K race on May 21st were pretty miserable. I had a constant burning sensation on the left side of my chest and in my sternum. When I laid down on my back, I was having shortness of breath. I felt like there was a heavy weight just sitting on the center of my chest, and I was having a hard time sleeping at night. I could pretty much only get comfortable when I laid down on my right side. I couldn't lay on my left side at night, and I couldn't lay on my back just because I was having a hard time breathing when I was laying on my back. And then I started to have pain when I would bend over to pick things up, or when I would bend over for any reason whatsoever. And this lasted for weeks. Looking back in hindsight, running that race is probably the worst thing that I could have done during that time, but I didn't know at the time that I was experiencing potentially the initial stages of myocarditis, and I had just assumed that it was a cold. So looking back now, yes, that was probably not the best decision, but at the time I didn't know. Moving forward though, I've done absolutely everything that I can to promote recovery. I haven't had caffeine in over 15 weeks. I've been trying to sleep as much as possible. I've stopped all physical activity. I haven't run, like I said, in 12 weeks. And I've been trying to eat a clean diet, and I've still been continuing to supplement as I normally would. So I've been trying to do absolutely everything that I can to try to help my body to recover. The only other thing I can do now is to just have patience. And that's been one of the hardest things about this entire situation, which has been not knowing when all of this is going to end. But hopefully, after I have all this testing done at St. Luke's, I'll have some answers, and we'll hopefully be able to know somewhat roughly when I'll be able to return to running. And this whole ordeal has just been a lot of ups and downs, both emotionally as well as physically. There would be days when I would start to feel better, and I would start to get hopeful that I was recovering and that I was going to be able to do things like I normally would again soon. And then a few days later, I would start to feel bad again. So it was just this constant up and down, up and down. I'm just ready to be back to normal again, and I'm ready to be able to run and exercise again. It's taken me almost 2 years to get to where I'm at now, and I've worked really hard to build the fitness that I have. Words just can't even describe how difficult this has been for me. Everything I've worked for this year is essentially gone. I was finally starting to make real progress towards my 5K goal this summer, and then not being able to perform at the Clear Lake 5K like I had hoped, having to sit out the Heatwave 5K on July 4th, a race that I've been looking forward to for an entire year, and have to sit on the sidelines and watch all my family and friends run without me. I had planned on running the Indianapolis Monumental Marathon in October, and now those plans are shot because of this. And now, not even knowing when I'll be able to attempt another sub-3 marathon again. It's just been a lot for me to process, both physically and emotionally. And my mental state has not been the best. That's why I waited to make this video, so that I had enough time to actually reflect on my situation and collect my thoughts on all of this. When I started this YouTube channel, I wanted to document my running journey so that I could one day look back and reminisce and look at all the things that I had accomplished. But my other hope with starting this channel was that maybe I could inspire others to do things that they didn't think that they were capable of doing, and to show people what's possible if you show up every single day, are consistent, and just put in the work. I want to be open, honest, and upfront with the content that I put out. And I'm human, and this is the real me, and this is how I've been feeling. I've had a lot of time to reflect during my downtime and have come to grips with my current situation. Things could have ended up much worse than they did, and I am very fortunate and blessed that I'm able to still function in my day-to-day life. I want to end this video with a message to myself, as well as to anyone else that might be going through a really hard time in their life. There are going to be highs in life, times when you think that everything just seems to be going your way, and everything just seems to be working out. But there will also be lows. There will be disturbances. There will be setbacks. Life can be very cruel, but that doesn't give you a reason to quit or to stop trying. Life is about rolling with the punches, adapting to whatever situation you're dealt, and turning negatives into positives. It's about getting up when you get knocked down, every single time. You can't always control the outcome. Most of the time, you have to play the hand that you've been dealt to the best of your ability and make the most out of the cards that you have. And that's the beauty of a journey, because a journey without adversity, well, that wouldn't be much of a journey now, would it?